Hey guys, Shane with Now That I'm Older. Check out Rogue Intel Prime with Duff and Chris. Anything goes in this podcast of infinite possibilities. The gang are sure to entertain with their take on the latest news, commentary, and review of, well, whatever the hell they feel like. Check out Rogue Intel Prime on rogueintel.com.
Hello, boys and ghouls. I am Corey from Super Call Me Guru 9000, and joined with me is Christian, and this is the powerful Nerdcast. How are you doing today, Christian?
I'm good. I realized we just started today without a fancy quote.
Yeah, we did. We are breaking tradition a little bit, but then again,
this is not
October.
A traditional podcast either. We're kind of just here to chill, which is actually very traditional, which is always what we do. But instead of, like sometimes we're like write a bunch of notes, but this time we're here to just hang out. We thought, I am like the phoenix will rise from the ashes and fly through this podcast with no... That really is a horrible analogy for what I was trying to go for.
Exactly. I'm not really sure what you're going for.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. Have you seen the new... it's obviously not The Daily Show, which did start back, but Stephen Colbert is now doing The Tonight Show.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job.
Really?
Yes.
Is it weird with him not playing the character, or is the energy the same so it doesn't matter?
I think the energy's right on par.
Really?
I mean, the biggest difference is that when he was on the Colbert Show, he had like his own sort of personality. That
he was
a
conservative, bumbling, funny idiot guy, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely playing a character, but he brings that energy to his hosting skills on the brand new Tonight Show. And like I said, I really do think he's doing a standout job. And, I don't usually stay up late to watch the late shows. I've been staying up late to watch Stephen Colbert. And I like that you also mentioned The Daily Show. I think this new kid, I think his name's Trevor Noah. I think he's also doing a great job on The Daily Show. Like,
really?
He's really snappy. He's got some great writers. He's clearly learned a lot from Jon Stewart. Like, honestly, I think we're going through a little bit of a late-night renaissance right now with all of these brand new shows.
Well, I think it was not Kimmel. Who was the other guy? How many late night show guys are there?
There have been so many. I mean,
it's one of the guys on now. Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon,
the worst, I think, of the bunch, personally.
But where he did succeed is he has celebrities and they do things together.
Yeah.
Right, and he's really good at that.
Oh yeah.
He's got that down. Whoever's running that show has figured it out.
He's just not very funny and afraid to push people's buttons, I think, a bit too much.
Yeah, he's playing it safe. He's the kindergarten of late night, if you will. But the one thing that they do really well, and I think Conan also does really well, is they put like little clips, like those segments online. So it's like, oh, you missed the Tonight Show. Oh, you didn't see that thing with Tom Cruise doing the lip sync battle, with Jimmy Fallon. Oh, well, don't worry. That 5-minute clip is online. And you just go watch it anytime you want. You don't need cable or any of that stuff.
Something that I've been obsessed with lately is every week I now look forward to the brand new, I think it's called Last Week with John Oliver.
That show is smart as hell.
It is. It's great. And I love the segments they release every single week. They're always really entertaining. They're always incredibly topical. And again, he's a guy who has a lot of personality. He's great at reading, and he's got some amazing writers. But he's also got some really nice, intelligent things to say. And that's something, like you said, I love that you mentioned that a lot of these clips are going up on YouTube, because in many ways that is sort of like revitalized the whole like late night scene. And I think it's getting people to tune in a lot more.
Yeah, because no one wants to stay up to watch TV anymore.
Not really, especially with the internet. There's you could just look at your damn phone while hanging out in your bed before you go to sleep. Like there's no reason to stay up and watch TV anymore, unless of course you're badass and you want to watch South Park and Rick and Morty, which. We'll talk about Rick and Morty in a second. There was a season finale.
Let's say I didn't watch Rick and Morty last night. It doesn't matter, because if I still have cable, I can watch it on demand anytime I want.
Exactly. You could look it up on your Adult Swim app on your phone.
Really?
Like, that's how simple it is.
It's not hard. And the other thing, like, I've been watching Fear the Walking Dead, and I keep missing the shows because I'm, like, busy on Sunday, or I say,
they just wrapped up that season, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They did.
I missed it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Were there zombies?
Yes, many a zombies. The last episode had a lot of things, a lot of firsts. Like, it had its first herd. It had, its first, like...
Its first herd?
When, like...
there's a herd of zombies out in that field?
Well, you're fucked when, because anyone can kill 2 zombies.
Yeah.
Anyone can kill, like, 10 if you got a gun.
My grandma could kill...
Yeah, like a few zombies. That's not a problem, but when there's 2,000, it almost doesn't matter if you have a gun. So, like, the herd is the... That was one of the main things that I always heard people complain about, that Brad Pitt movie, The Z one.
World War Z.
World War Z.
Yeah, I only remember that movie's existence because of the South Park episode.
Where Cartman dressed up like him.
He's just like, I love you both equally.
Equally.
If that was a real line in that movie, that's fucking hilarious.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's just they were trying to get across the Family Man sort of aspect of it. But the point of that movie was that you couldn't kill all the zombies because when a wave of like 50,000 zombies comes at you, it doesn't matter if you have guns. Yeah,
there's just no way you're going to be able to overpower that many people.
Yeah, you can't do it. And it was really great on the last episode because this military base got hit by a herd. And it was all engineered, like the good guys. Our group of characters were following. Like the guy walks up to the main fence with a flashlight, and they're like, "Hey, are you a zombie?" And then the other guy's like, "No, he's not. He's using a flashlight." And he's like, "Hey, you guys should probably save your ammo." And then he walks away, and then it's just this giant herd that he had like sent to there. Because again, the zombies aren't scary. You can just walk faster than them. Yeah. But you got to be careful. You don't want to get cornered. And that last episode was great. Obviously, the people that make The Walking Dead are making Fear the Walking Dead because it just has the exact same tone. And the characters are really good. And the main male is actually really weak. He's very like...
he's the exact opposite of Rick.
Yes,
in many
they
ways.
made that on purpose, obviously, because he's
a very smart decision, I think.
Yeah,
because not everybody is like freaking Ash from The Evil Dead and is just like an expert in like killing these demonic creatures.
Yeah, like he did have one Rickism, if you will, because this guy he let go, which they were torturing for information on the military, like they capture a soldier and they start fucking him up to figure out what's going on. And one of the other main male leads is actually like an drug cartel from Mexico that run away from Mexico.
Really?
And he immediately got it. He's like, "Oh, it's over. The world's over. We got to go." He's like, "We're going to grab this army guy. We're going to torture him to figure out what we got to do." And everyone's like, whoa, don't do that. He's like, "No, you don't get it. This is how the world works now." And he immediately gets it. And so he's a really interesting character. But mostly the women, I think, are some of the strongest characters in that show. So it's very different than The Walking Dead in that dynamic. But it ends, season finale ends, super spoilers, with they end up getting the super rich black guy. And he takes him to this nice like Malibu house, which is just ridiculously expensive. And then they're like... Which
is just going to get trashed by zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
You just know it.
And they're like, "So what are we going to do? He's like, "Oh, we're going to go to Isabella," or for whatever this fucking name was. And then he looks, and then you see this gigantic yacht. And that's what they're going to do. They're going for a boat to get away from everything.
Very risky move, I think, during a zombie apocalypse. Because, I mean, I guess technically you're safe out in the water, but if you don't have enough fuel, you could be screwed. Especially if it's a boat that you can't paddle. And this is a yacht. I don't think you're just going to...
paddle in no yacht.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is you can also store a lot on that boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you could also be gone a long time. But the other thing is I'm sure there's like pirates and shit now. There's...
Pirate zombies.
Not pirate zombies, but people that want to take
Wouldn't that be a cool twist for this? I mean, who's to say that zombies can't go underwater and just sort of walk around?
They've established that the Walking Dead zombies can't do water. That's actually been established.
I've only seen so many like zombie movies that actually do like the whole zombies crawling around in water and everything. And
yes.
Actually, like the one that comes to mind is that one movie I think is called Land of the Dead.
Yes.
Which was George Romero's
had that
final theatrical zombie movie. Which had John Leguizamo in it, and
it had the black mechanic zombie that led all the zombies.
Yeah, he was the one who he was like the super smart zombie. Like he was starting to learn how to use tools again. Like he actually used a gun and actually like shot at people. Like that's a scary thought. You got to worry about them eating you alive. Now they're gonna fucking curb stomp your ass. Yeah, like I think that's an interesting concept for the series. Maybe they could bring that in, especially if they're going to be out in the water. Maybe seeing like zombies in the water, or maybe in the low tide or something. That could be really creepy stuff. And that's another thing. Like you said, the same people are producing it. Does it still sort of have like that creepy vibe to it? Like,
yeah, it's got this
zombies
intense
still like have that really great makeup and everything?
Yeah, like the whole feel is The Walking Dead, but it's not. The characters are just very different.
Yeah, and
you don't have the history with them. Like at first, I was like, I don't care if this show's good because it's not my characters.
Yeah, but
then you realize, oh wait, there have been bad characters on The Walking Dead. And then there's this one kid who has this big revelation because he's a heroin addict. While everything's going bad. And he's like, it's funny because my whole life has been an apocalypse. Like I've been on the run, sleeping on the streets, dealing with everything. He's like, and now the world's catching up to me. I thought that was very interesting.
Wow, that's some pretty deep shit right there.
Yeah, and
and I mean, clearly he's probably jonesing in the zombie apocalypse, but I'm sure that's probably the least of his worries.
And also, I think that actor, I may be wrong, because they have like a like, what is it called? Like little facts and tidbits, like during Fear the Walking Dead or The Talking Dead, whenever they do that show. They said that actor is actually the real life son of Stannis Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of funny that they got
Those
a Game
guys
of
all
Thrones.
hang out, man.
Well, I guess if you're working on such a high level, everyone got the hookup. Because you and I, we both sort of work in the film and television industry on the side, for like the day job thing. And how much connections matter. So I'm sure like when you're on that high level.
It's all about who you know.
Isn't that true
That
in
is
life?
how you freaking get work. Simple as that,
Yeah.
College education don't mean shit as long as you can talk to someone the right way.
If they like you and you're good enough, you're in.
I mean, I think you were jokingly telling me like a couple weeks ago, you're like, yeah, I was working this one job, and like I went to college and everything, but like nobody ever asks me.
No one
like,
asks me.
Where did you go to school? What's your diploma? No, it's just because you know these people who know these people who know these people.
Exactly.
So it really is important in a business like that.
I just walk up and I'm like, hey, I'm a cameraman and I know how to use this. And they're like, prove it. And then I do. And they're like, here's a check for way more money than you should have. And I'm like, whoa. Like every time someone pays me a couple $100 when I hang out for like 2 hours, I'm like, I'm like getting away with this.
Yeah.
Like no one's
It feels
stopping.
wrong almost.
Almost. But at the same time, I feel like, to justify my existence and my pay, it's kind of like when people come in and pay you to do a lot, it's because you have a very specific skill that it may be very easy for you, but you've put in X amount of hours.
Yeah.
Like the other day we were, I don't want to get too specific, but there was some big corporate event and we had to do the group picture with the drone.
Yeah.
And we just showed up, took like 4 pictures, and then a fat check showed up in the mail. And we were
Yeah.
like, whoa, that was easy.
Most of the job that day consisted of hanging out on a couch and just chilling until it was time to shoot.
Yeah, well, what do they say in production? It's get ready and wait. So we got there, we tested the drone, and then we just waited around for like an hour.
But again, though, that isn't a job that you would just, hand to somebody who's never used a drone before.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
I mean, they would have crashed and burned, I mean, it did take a while to set
Or
the
hurt
shot
someone.
up. Exactly. You could, there's going to be some stricter regulations on that shit in the future.
I know. It's kind of like it's the gold rush right now. It's the wild Drone West.
Oh, God. Can we go 1 week
Wild
without
West.
referencing that shitty Will Smith movie from back in the day? Let's get back on track to Walking Dead. So,
Okay.
Fear the Walking Dead just ended, and then we got the new season, which is getting ready to start up just this week.
Yes.
Which, I feel so bad. I'm so behind on Walking Dead. I have only watched about half of Fear the Walking Dead, and I only saw a little bit of the last season. So I don't know if, like, jumping on would be too spoilerific or if I'd be, like, way too out of the loop about what's going on. Like, really, how's this next season going to open, you think?
Okay, so what my predictions are, also I've read the comic book, so I feel a little like I have an inside track.
But it doesn't really follow the
No,
comic
they've
book.
gone off, and the comic books have also gone through a time skip, so they're very different now.
Yeah.
But pretty much what I think is going to happen is they're in this new place that has super big walls, and it was like a community designed for the apocalypse. Before the apocalypse happened, it's like houses that are all on solar, water systems, that are like on wells, so they're not connected to anything. Like all the water still works. There's electricity there. It's ridiculous. It's like a hot shower, which is ridiculous in the apocalypse. So there's everyone there, and pretty much what the last season, how it ended, is this other group called the Wolves
They call themselves the Wolves?
The Wolves. Yeah, because they come in.
They got their own T-shirts and shit?
Yeah, they got T-shirts, stickers.
Are they like the Wolverines from Red Dawn?
I don't know what that is, but I'll say
Go
yes.
on.
I'll say yes. So,
Wolverines!
and so, anyway, so yeah, pretty much this big group, most likely. You haven't seen but 2 of them. But they did come across another sanctuary where one of the characters, who I think was named Noah, he came from, but he had got captured and been with this other group. But they went there, and what happened is the wolves have been here, and it was all ransacked and fucked up. So they now know about this new city, Alexandria, or whatever the fuck it's called, and most likely the wolves are going to try to take it. But it's different now because Rick ain't fucking around anymore, and he's practically a psycho murderer with a little bit of humanity left. He's mostly a psycho murderer.
Yeah.
So if you cross him, he just kills you now.
That character has truly evolved as the series has gone on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he barely could bring himself to like kill his best friend, Shane, and now he's like no problem doing anything.
Yeah.
And so And then there's going to be a lot of drama with inside the actual city where a lot of people are like, Rick's dangerous. We shouldn't trust him. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people are like, no, you don't get it what it's like out there anymore. It's not just
they haven't experienced what they've been through.
Yeah. It's almost like if you had a new, like with this new society they have, it's almost like there needs to be. What did the Native Americans do, Corey, back in the day? They went, when you were a certain age, they'd make you go out into the woods and like you had to kill an animal by yourself and come back.
Rite of passage.
Rite of passage. There's a need for zombie rite of passage.
Carry the spirit of the deer
into the land.
Strength of the buffalo.
Yeah, but nowadays, I've heard people talk about this. There is no rite of passage. And there's less and less of anything that even resembles one. Because what do? Now you finish high school, and then you're supposed to go to college, and then you go to a real job, and somewhere in there you're supposed to become a real man, right?
Yeah.
When's that transition happen, though? It's real blurred now. There's no like...
There's no ancient document, the real man document.
There is no...
just you check off.
Yeah, there isn't. Like, to this day, as a guy that's 29, I still sit around and wonder, I'm like, am I growing up yet? Because, like... I could still go do the same mistakes I did at like 22. There's not that much stopping me. I don't feel that different. But like some Amazon tribes, they have this thing called a bullet ant glove. And you stick your hand in this glove full of bullet ants. And you have to do it like 5 times.
Where have I seen that on the Travel Channel?
That exists. Well, it's a big, well-known thing.
I don't know if it was Anthony Bourdain or if it was
Bizarre Eats.
George Zimmerman.
Yeah.
From Bizarre Foods.
Derek Zimmerman? And, was it in between? Sorry, I just hear that last name and want to do shooting young black kids.
They did something like that. Was it like literally like this almost woven looking like pouch?
Yeah, it looks like a...
filled with these just disturbingly giant freaky looking ants which will just destroy your hand and poison you. Yes. But it's like no, if you want to become a man you got to stick your hand in the bag of ants.
Yeah, so
it's who the fuck thought of this? How does that make you a man? That just means you can withstand pain for a few seconds. I guess that's what it means to be a man, which is to callous yourself to pain.
Yeah, or to handle life. Whatever life throws at you.
Yeah, whenever life throws you a big bag of fucking man-eating ants.
Yeah, you gotta stick your hand in there. So
I think those fuckers were smoking peyote when they came up with that. But go on.
Or is it peyote? And there's another drug that's really big. I think it's not DMT, but you've heard of DMT, but it's the actual natural way that DMT exists.
Let's just call it weed brownies.
Weed brownies. Yeah.
In the middle of the forest.
Weed brownies in the forest. So yeah, like there's no rite of passage nowadays, and I feel like that's something that The Walking Dead's going to have to do as they establish a society. They're going to be like, every kid must kill one zombie.
It's like, all right, boy, we need you to go out there and we need you to find yourself a big old buck.
Big old buck.
And go kill a zombie. Now the rules are: do they have to kill it with a gun or do they have to use a blunt object?
No, they got to do it like with a knife to the head.
Okay.
They gotta, because anyone can go. Bang.
Because, in a society where mankind is being destroyed by zombies, you need to send out children to fight against zombies, for the good of the population of the planet.
You say that, but at the same time, like, what about, you remember how, you may not know this, but there was these 2 girls that got saved by the group at the prison when they were still there. And one of them just became broken. Mm-hmm. She just didn't understand. She lost the line between zombies and people, and then ends up stabbing her sister. And she's like, oh, it doesn't matter because she'll come back. To death.
Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah, but so they had to ended up mice and menning her, George and.
Yeah, George and Lenny.
Just talk about the rabbits.
Jesus Christ. The show's definitely not afraid to go into some dark territory.
No, they did killing kids, and they had Carol do it, and that was dark because she lost a daughter, and there she is, having to evolve into a character.
I think I remember that moment now that you're talking about it.
Yeah. So that show, The Walking Dead to me is just so powerful. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh God, this is like life and death. Like, imagine if every day you woke up, you had to decide if you were going to risk your own body and well-being and life to help others, or if how are you going to protect yourself from other people? And if people show up, they may be wanting to take your shit. Just gangster life,
The mental and physical toll has just got to be, it's insane.
Yeah. Just, for some reason, it interests me to no end. Like and it's weird because, you're into killing people and zombies and stuff. I'm like, no. It's the psychological study of the whole thing. It just seemed very interesting to me, and it would suck. But then also I've been playing like a bunch of like Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'm like, what would Snake do in zombie?
In a zombie apocalypse?
He'd be fine. He'd fucking own it. I just find the whole thing really interesting. Just imagine Snake like sneaking around for supplies and stuff. And I was like, oh, I could totally see that. You know?
I mean, he would definitely have a better chance of survival, I guess, against, say, normal citizens.
Yes.
But I don't know. I kind of like to think of a zombie apocalypse as, like, the great equalizer of mankind. I mean,
Yeah, no longer does money mean anything. Mm-hmm. No longer does.
I mean, everything changes at that point. It's like you said in the Fear the Walking Dead show. There's that one guy who's just like, no, things are not normal anymore. We can't do this the old school way anymore. This is a fucking apocalypse.
We take this hostages, we go there, we ask for our people back, and we go.
This is about absolute survival from this point on.
Yeah, and he knew that because he was a Mexican drug cartel that did whatever the fuck he needed to do to get things done. And and then you have the heroin addict. And the rich guy even realizes that the heroin addict is the right guy to be friends with right now. He's like, me and you, we're going to get out of here. And he's like, because I need your skills. And he's like, yeah, I'm an addict. He's like, no, you're a heroin addict. That's gold standard. And I was just like, oh, that's hilarious. So, just The Walking Dead, I could always love talking about that show.
It's amazing that show has been on the air since, I think, 2010.
Really?
It's already been on for 5 years.
5 seasons or 6 seasons.
And that was one of those shows too. Like when it first started, I'm like, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun mini series. I was like, how are they gonna carry a zombie show for this long? And they managed to do it, not because of the violence, not because of the gruesomeness of the zombies, but because of the characters and the trials and tribulations that they go through. And that is an amazing accomplishment. And it's also been what sort of has been ushering in what I like to call the renaissance of horror on TV. There are so many horror TV shows on right now. There's that American Horror Story on FX, which is absolutely nightmarish, a completely different type of horror show. You got that brand new stupid show on Fox, which is called Scream Queens, which is sort of a reference to, classic slasher movies. You got the brand new Ash versus the Evil Dead show that's coming out.
Have you been watching any of that?
It actually does not premiere until Halloween night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which unfortunately I'm probably not going to be able to see because I don't have Stars. I don't have the channel that's going to be on, but hopefully I'll be able to see it online at some point. Eventually maybe check it out on DVD or Netflix or somewhere because, I mean, it's just... I cannot wait to see me some more Ash versus the Evil Dead, but
it looks good.
That's something that I'm really excited about. I'm glad we've been talking about all this horror stuff because that's going to be a big theme of a lot of the podcasts this month because Halloween is just around the corner, and Halloween is, to me, really my favorite holiday. I know that seems kind of weird. Most people tend to say, like, Christmas or something, just because it's so wholesome and fun. You're with the family, presents, and all that jazz. But Halloween is just something that I've always really looked forward to because I've always been a big fan of horror movies. And in next week's podcast, Christian, you're actually going to reveal your top 5 favorite horror movies. And in the podcast after that one, in the next week, I'm going to reveal my top 5 horror movies. So I'm really interested to see what you're going to do for your list.
When we were talking earlier.
10's just too much.
10's a lot.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend 3 hours talking about this stuff. But so really try to narrow it down to your top 5 and, really think about it too. It doesn't have to be the most gory. It doesn't have to be, the most thought-provoking. Just really what appeals to you as like a viewer because we've seen a lot of horror movies. In fact, like I remember back in the day, like when I turned 17, the golden year for seeing R-rated movies. Like the first couple we all saw was just nothing but horror films. Like I think the first R-rated movie I saw legit, like I purchased the ticket for myself in theaters, was the Eli Roth movie, which was called Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, that movie, yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
Actually, no, it wasn't. Was it Cabin in the... No, it was Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever was the name of the movie.
I was talking about Cabin... I remember Cabin Fever, where they all get that disease.
Yeah, and I felt like a fucking rebel, like seeing that movie in a theater for the first time, walking up to the box office, 1 ticket for Cabin Fever, please, ID, please, boom!
Got that.
And I just pulled that thing like right out in front of his face. We saw Cabin Fever, we saw the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all types of ridiculous horror movies, and that's just what I love most about Halloween is just chilling with your friends, hanging around the tube, watching old horror movies, and if you want like a good place to find some selections for horror films, I highly recommend going to Cinemassacre.com, which is the home of James Rolfe, otherwise known as the Angry Video Game Nerd, because he just began his 9th annual, I cannot believe it's the 9th year, of Monster Madness, where every single day in October, he reviews a brand new horror film. And he's doing it again this year. He's also got his buddy Mike Matei, otherwise known as Motherfucker Mike, who's going to be joining him for Monster Madness this year. And this one's already been kind of a mixed bag for something I'll get into in a little bit. But this guy has reviewed like hundreds, nearly thousands of freaking horror movies at this point. You know, keep in mind that a lot of these videos sometimes are only 3 minutes, but some of them can extend upwards of 10 or longer. And what I really love about it is how every single year he has a completely different theme, where in the first year he did like the history of horror, which was like everything from like the old black and white movies, the Universal monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then like the big slasher movies of the 70s and 80s, and then getting up to the supernatural ghost movies of the 90s and the early 2000s. And even right now we're already getting ready to go through another renaissance of horror movies, a lot of which I think the best ones are the ones that go like straight to DVD, one of which I don't want to talk about because it's definitely going to be on my list. But then he did another year of Godzilla movies, which he called Godzilla-thon, which I thought was really fun.
That was great.
That was one of the most fun Monster Madness years. It was an interesting modern Monster Madness because, you know, Godzilla movies aren't exactly scary, but they do involve giant monsters and everything, so it sort of fits with the theme. He also did an 80s year, which was called 80s-a-thon. That was probably my personal favorite year because my favorite horror movies are typically from the 1980s. He did Camp Cult, which was just all about cult films, which are not exactly very well known in the mainstream, but appeal to a certain demographic who are just big fans of it and just like to talk about it all the time. What I loved about Camp Cult was that was a lot of movies I'd never heard of or seen before, and I got to, and every year I like to do like these horror movie marathons, like right before Halloween, and I remember that year I showed a lot of the movies from that one with some friends, and it was just a raucous, really fun, good time.
What was that Brain Snatcher one?
That was one of them. It was called Brain Damage.
Brain Damage. I watched pieces of that, and I was just so like confused and like, what is this?
I wouldn't say it's a good movie. It's entertaining though, especially if you just watch it with a group of people. It's about this like weird monster brain slug thing, which actually has the ability to talk to people, and it finds this one kid, and what it does is it attaches itself to the back of your neck, and it injects this like weird juice into your body, which basically just makes you get really fucking stoned, like, and you get really dependent on it, and that's another part of that movie. It's got like this whole anti-drug message that's applied to the entire movie, and it's got some really intense visuals, but it's also got some crappy visuals at the same time. It's one of those mixed bagged 80s movies, but I do think it's worth seeing at least once, and that's another excuse just to check out Monster Madness, just to get to see all of these different horror movie reviews, because he does everything. He did one year called Sequel-a-thon, where he just did a select number of movies and checked out each of the sequels, like Nightmare on Elm Street and all the old Frankenstein movies. He did all the Friday the 13th movies just this year, and that wasn't even a part of Monster Madness. That's just because there have been so many Friday the 13ths.
Oh my gosh.
He's been getting hundreds, thousands of requests from people who are like, why haven't you done a sequel-a-thon for Friday the 13th? And he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it right here on my own time. And then this year, he's going back to Monster Madness for the 9th year, and there isn't necessarily a theme, but what is most interesting about the movie reviews that he does is usually they're like little short 3 to 10 minute reviews, which feature a lot of footage from the movies and just his voiceover talking about some of his favorite scenes, analyzing what he thinks is important, but not spoiling too much of the movie. This year, things are a little different. Only about a third of the videos that he's making on are going to be traditional, where he shows like movie clips and then talks over it. The other ones are going to be basically just him and motherfucker Mike just sort of hanging out in this like decked out like Halloween room with all these decorations and just talking about a movie. The first one he did was on The Ring, which was the creepy little girl crawling out of the well movie from the early 2000s, and
which was very terrifying at the time.
At the time, it definitely was. And those videos have been getting a lot of flack because he doesn't script them out. It's basically them just sort of talking and winging it. And I don't think that's a reason to not check out Monster Madness, because he still gives out a lot of just really great recommendations for the Halloween season. So still check those out. He's been getting the kind of the same flack that Nostalgia Critic has been getting, because he's been doing a lot of reviews just like that too, where they're not using clips anymore. They're just like straight up, just winging it, and
I feel so double-edged about this. As a content creator, I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
I totally get it, yeah.
Because
especially people on YouTube. We can't show clips. That shit'll get flagged immediately.
Well, yes. The other thing is, if you just want to get something out quick, what's wrong with just sitting down talking about it with someone you do videos with and getting it out there fast? But if you want everything to be scripted, that's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. It almost makes it's weird to think that 8 years previous, he's made that many scripted videos. Like, it's insane. And, you know, that's not even on top of the fact that he's got a big freaking website. He makes AVGN videos. He makes the Board James series. He appears in multiple cameos on all types of things, traveling to conventions. The man is a surprising busy man. And he also has a freaking family that he has to take care of. He has kids.
Yeah.
You know, he just doesn't have the time anymore. And, you know, I am a little fearful that after this year, maybe Monster Madness will slow down a little bit. But he's reviewed nearly every fucking horror movie, like, in existence. And that is a joke. There are way too many fucking horror movies, and a lot of them are garbage. A lot of them are straight-to-DVD type things, like Starship Troopers 2, which is not a Starship Troopers sequel. It's a shitty horror movie about people trapped in a building.
With mind control bugs.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Remember how disappointed we were when we rented that back in the day?
Awful.
We were like, Starship Troopers 2! Yeah! It starts with clips of the original. We're like, yeah! And then it's like, oh, this sucks.
The budget appeared.
Yeah.
And you got to see how bad it looked. It was just bad all freaking round. Did not care for that one at all. But yeah, Monster Madness. Check it out. You know, James Rolfe does more than the Angry Video Game Nerd, and I look forward to Monster Madness every single year. He's already released a lot of good videos, and he's really breaking the mold this year with some of the movies that he's doing. Just today, he reviewed Misery, which is the Stephen King movie and book, which was all about Kathy Bates, who has that one guy who's the writer. She kidnaps him and ties him all up. That was one of the most
fucked up things ever. I have a real fear of like breaking a bone or something. So when she broke his ankles, I was that freaks me out.
The block of wood between his legs.
Yeah, and breaks
the sledgehammer and boom.
How's that end? Does he end up getting away? Or
he does end up getting away. Yes.
Does he kill her?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'd fucking kill that bitch too at that point.
It's Kathy Bates, man.
I know. Not in that movie. She's a capital B in that movie. She's Bobby Boucher's mom.
Funny thing, getting a little personal here, that's something that me and my older brother have always joked about. My mom looks a lot like Kathy Bates.
Yeah, she has some Kathy Bates type qualities for sure.
and when my mom wanted to freak, and this is so fucked up, when my mom wanted to freak us out as kids, she would literally quote verbatim from Misery and shit.
Oh God.
Yeah, nothing violent or anything, but there's this one scene in the movie. Well, my family's so messed up. Yeah. Where she's like getting mad at I believe his name is Ed Harris. I think that's the name of the actor. And because of the book that he's writing, she's not happy with it. And she says this line where she's like, "It's not in the cock-a-doodie car." That's exactly what my mom would always say. But luckily, when Waterboy came out, she adopted more of the Miss Boucher lines. So yeah, Mama, I love you. Thank you for not turning out like frickin' Kathy Bates in Misery. That would have been really damn creepy.
Oh my gosh.
But I love you, Mama.
That is hilarious. Oh, I just ran into this article, and it was a vegan person almost kills their pet because they were forcing ideologies on pets, and they tried to feed their kitten all vegan diet. And it almost died, and then they had to take it to the veterinarian, the veterinarian, and they gave it meat, and they're like, look, cats are meatosauruses.
Yeah, they need this shit to survive. Right?
That always blows my mind that people think they can turn their cats into vegans.
It reminds me of this. There's this old Simpsons joke back in the day. No, it wasn't Simpsons. It was Futurama. There was this one episode where these hippies trained this lion to eat tofu because they were trying to explain, no, man, you don't need to eat meat. We taught this lion how to eat tofu. And then they show this, super emaciated, really skinny lion that's just standing there, and all it does is it goes, it just coughs. That thing is on its last leg dying. You can't make these things go against nature, you know? Those big cats, they need them steaks.
They're predators. Predators don't stalk celery. Okay? They stalk other animals. They need the hunt. If anything, I think that your cat should probably kill one or two things a month to eat it, just because it probably wants to.
For those people who are vegans and vegetarian, I applaud them. I don't have the patience to even go through that. You know, I need a big hunking piece of bleeding meat on my plate every night. I don't know, I can't do it. I remember a month ago you went a full week on veganism.
No, I went a full vegetarian week because I went to New Orleans and I did nothing but drink alcohol and party hard for a week, and I was like, I need a detox, and I tried it. You feel lighter and you feel a little better when you're vegetarian, But as someone who's addicted to the sugars and the salts and the lifestyle of meat eating, it was very hard. I will be honest. I only made it like 5 days before I don't say I quit, but I started eating meat here and there again. I sort of phased back into it. But, I don't know. Okay, read this, Corey.
Okay, here we go. What is this? Oh, God. Okay, so it is a picture of a rooster who has been photoshopped to have
the gladiator's arms.
The gladiator arms on him.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, it says, father to a moated egg, husband to a moated hen, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Please save that picture.
Okay.
Okay, we got to include that. That is some really funny Photoshop right there.
Photoshop is great. I love Photoshop.
That's something we need to do. Unfortunately, we don't really have an awkward imagery reading plan for today, but I want to try and get some planned for the next couple weeks, which I'm going to try to make them Halloween themed. And someone also left a really good idea in the comment section. What if we did user-generated awkward imagery readings where we had the commenters and stuff actually send us their pictures and we take a look at them? I think that would be really funny.
Yeah, we just have to send us links, you guys, if you want to send us awkward Imgur pictures or any funny internet content, that we can digest and talk about on the podcast. It can't be videos.
Yeah, either leave us the link for it in the video or just try to send us like a private message.
Yeah.
And we can definitely include those in the videos. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, so I also saw that the cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show is getting together for not a show, but it was, what is it? It's like they're getting together on one of those late night shows, speaking of late night, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Really?
But even though, what's his name, that main guy is sort of crippled now. I sort of feel bad about that. He had a stroke.
Tim Curry?
Yeah, he had a stroke. He's in a wheelchair and stuff.
Man, that's such a shame, man.
Yeah.
Tim Curry is, I think, an amazing actor. I really think he's had some chops. The only problem is, he's starred in a lot of weird movies. And that's kind of kept him from being in any like really big, like super blockbuster-esque movies. But, I'd consider Rocky Horror Picture Show as one of the greatest cult films of all time. A movie that, I think you really have to try to appreciate because it's just so strange, It's a musical horror movie about a transvestite mad scientist from another planet.
Wow.
Yeah, saying that out loud is really weird, but it's also got some like amazing music. It's got some great stars in it. Frickin' Susan Sarandon, frickin' Meatloaf, who has an amazing song sequence in the movie, and it's just, it's crazy. And what I love most about it, too, is it's influenced our anime. Frickin' One Piece, the character of Emporio Ivankov is basically Tim Curry from, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That whole arc.
Yeah.
That arc within an arc.
Impel Down, when they go down to the secret level.
Yeah.
With all the Kamabaka or whatever they call them. Basically, it's just a bunch of gay dudes.
The gay sex. They instead of prison, there's gay sex in prison, they just made a whole fantastical gay land within the prison.
That was one of those arcs, too. I'm like, was this... I remember watching that in the anime. I was like, was this in the manga?
Yeah.
Let me look this up. Holy shit. At the bottom of Impel Down, the most notorious prison in the One Piece world, is
between
a freaking
1 and
gay
2.
bar.
Yeah, there's a big gay bar.
I mean, who would have saw that coming? Not to mention a guy who has the ability to turn men into women and women into men. It's really freaking weird.
Yes.
But at the same time, Emporio Ivankov is also a character that you don't want to mess with. He's the number 2 in the Revolutionaries in One Piece.
Yeah, he's actually a badass.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe because
he'll wink you to death.
Death a winker.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even really think we've seen what that character is truly capable of.
Well, I think his powers are very helpful. He's like a great support character because he healed Luffy and stuff, and he can do certain things, and he's got Galaxy Wink, where a lot of him, and then he winks hard or something. I don't know, but yeah, that whole arc. Like when I was watching, I was just like, why is this allowed in prison? What's going on? Who let this happen? Yeah, I thought that was very funny, though.
Yeah, it was all a big secret.
Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, anything else you're interested in coming up, like shows-wise? Oh, we just watched One Punch Man, the first episode of that. You've reviewed it.
Oh,
One Punch Man is an anime that just came out, which is based on a manga. I don't know how strict they're being. I assume semi on the translation from anime to manga or manga to anime.
People say it's following it to a T.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. It's very much kind of like that Will Smith movie. where he was.
Oh, it's like Hancock.
Hancock, yeah,
disenchanted superhero
that's super strong, can do anything he wants. Runs into people.
And God, now that you say that, that is weird. It is like that because I never even really saw all of Hancock. I think I watched about 30 minutes of it once when it was on TV.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was like basically indestructible and like nothing could stop him, right? That was kind of like the whole point of his character, but at the same time, he was disenchanted and he was getting drunk. So they're like, "You got to go to jail, man." Like, but even when he's in jail, like nobody messes with this guy, like at all. I think there was a scene where he literally shoved someone's like head up someone other's like ass.
Yeah, he said, "I'm gonna take your head and put it in his ass." And they're like, "Oh, whatever, bro." And then they fought him.
I think it's Debo from Friday.
Oh, it is.
I think so.
Debo.
I might be confusing it. Debo. It's funny. The guy who plays Debo, he always plays prisoners in other movies. Like he was in the fucking Dark Knight. He was the guy who was on the boat that the Joker was gonna blow up.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That guy is in a lot of stuff. I bet I could look up his IMDb page and find like all this shit he's done.
Fucking Debo. You don't want to mess with Debo. That guy's a badass. He rides on a bike and he still looks scary as shit.
He rolls up on you and you're like, oh God.
Oh, God.
Debo. Yeah, and one of the other things I'm excited about is in the next week or two, I'm going to Florida to do a reality show. I'm filming a reality show, and we're going down to Miami. And it's just interesting because I've never done a reality show, so we're just like following.
What type of reality show is it?
So it's this guy. I don't want to give out names and stuff because I'm not sure what I'm legally allowed to talk about.
Okay.
But a guy that's a successful CEO of a company here in Atlanta is also a very avid hunter, but not a trophy hunter. No lions, like deer and stuff. Deer and fishing. And no one cares about deer because they're not as cute as lions, I don't know what it is. And so he's going around and we're going to film him hunting. And there's so much that goes into reality TV. And yes, you have to kind of script it. And I don't mean in the sense that like you're going to go here and do this and this. But what you do is you kind of set everything up and then you have to make some story arcs. You're like, okay, so you're going to go here and you're going to hunt for a while. Hopefully we see you shoot something. And then you got to come back and then we have to have some conflict with you and your wife. And then we have to have you go here and here. And then we sort of figure it out as we go. But reality TV is not reality. Let's be very honest.
It's definitely people are being poked with a stick constantly.
Like, hey, so there, and the scenes wherever you see people in a room alone talking to a camera, and then we went to the candy store,
the confessional.
Yeah, the confessionals. Yeah, that literally there's a producer in that room poking them, trying to make them talk crap about someone. So that they can when that person comes in,
they're trying to real world it.
Yeah, they're trying to real world it all the way.
A dash of Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
And a pinch of The Bachelor.
Yes, all that. Yeah. I heard they all screw on The Bachelor before they pick them, but they don't ever show any of that because they're just getting them drunk all the time.
Really?
Did you ever hear that story? That was like a big thing. Like how all the people, like all the dudes, like fuck most of the chicks, and then they vote them out.
Classy television.
Classy. Well, they don't show it, but it doesn't blow my mind. It seems very possible. But yeah, I've never done reality TV, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a new experience.
Yeah, and also I got to be the DP on, which is director of photography for you dirty people, for Atlanta Eats for an episode, and that was kind of cool. So I did my first TV show. It's funny, I did it, and I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I made it. I'm directing TV, and so that was kind of a cool moment for me.
Awesome.
It's only like a 30-minute show, but it was still cool. And next I'm doing Avengers 3. Yep. They got me on that.
Yeah.
I was fighting it, but
The Age of Christian.
The Age of Christian.
Yeah.
The Cooper.
The Age of Coop.
The Age of Coop. And then I also heard that Reddit, you know what Reddit is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Reddit is going to be launching a news...
black hole of the internet.
It's another black hole like Imgur that's going to be launching a news site all about like its most popular articles all over it. But they're getting, I wouldn't say pushback, but they're tackling it in a different way where there's no commenting allowed. And like Reddit is a lot of like user-generated content, like someone posts something and then... people like it and whatnot, but then they also sort of like comment on it and threads of information get created underneath this post, but they're not doing that. They're just going to have just news articles, which I find interesting, but maybe they're just trying to do something different. They're just, there's Reddit and then there'll be this. It's funny
because it doesn't sound all that different from a lot of other, websites.
Well, I guess, but like one of my favorite websites is like Gizmodo, but you can comment on that site. So it's like kind of weird.
That Gizmodo and what is it? Kotaku and Gawker.
Yeah, they're all all owned by the same companies. Or I think it's called Giz Media or something like that.
They all have like kind of the similar template for like what they look like.
Yeah, they definitely do. Whoever makes their website, it's the same website over and over again. So yeah, pretty interesting on that. The internet, it's always growing. I find it interesting. I wonder what like the internet's going to look like in 5 years, because it changed. What was it? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we had dial-up, which was complete crap, but we didn't know any better.
God, the people who are so lucky to have not had to live through that.
Yeah.
Like, God, that was such a pain.
And then, and then we finally got DSL or DSLR or what? No, DSL, whatever it was called. We got the fast internet, and now we got super fast internet, and
we're still bitching.
And so I just want Oculus Rift internet. Where's my internet I can spin around and
it's
stuff?
coming. Give it some time.
My Minority Report internet. I want that. And but yeah,
that's another new show that's airing right now.
Oh yeah, they are doing that.
Yeah, they air it after Gotham, which I definitely I watched Gotham last night, and then Minority Report came on, and then I went to bed. Yeah, Gotham was pretty good.
Gotham was?
Yeah, it was. There was this one character. They had this whole character they introduced in the last season that they were totally trying to make it seem like this guy was the Joker. Like, he had like his personality down pat. The character's name was Jerome. He was this young kid who was basically just a psychopath. You know, had it out for everyone, just all about the chaos and everything. And, like, he had the laugh down really good, and he just seemed like he could be, like, a really great, unhinged version of the Joker. And I was a little apprehensive at first, because I didn't want that character to have a backstory. And in last night's episode, at the very end, just, like, out of nowhere, he ends up getting killed by getting, like, stabbed in the neck. But at the end of the episode, what's something that I thought was really clever is that, like, everybody, like, on TV saw what he did, like, all the damage he caused and everything and how crazy he was. And the final shot of the episode was just a lot of different people in Gotham City watching TVs, little kids, criminals and stuff. And they all had these, like, really maniacal laughters going on, like, basically insinuating that any of these people could be the Joker and were influenced by this guy. And that's basically like the closest we'll ever get to seeing that character in the show, which is the way I think it needs to be. I don't think a Joker without Batman would be good. I don't think it would work. The dynamic just isn't there anymore. You need to have Batman and Joker together in order to make them work as characters.
Yeah, I agree. It's like they don't make sense without each other. And also, like you said, it'll ruin the mystery of the character if they just like, here's him as a kid. You know, it's like, no.
I was like, really? He was just some kid named Jerome? That's weird. You know, that's still what's so great about the comic versions and every other version of the Joker is you don't know his backstory. I mean, you know a little bit, like maybe how he became the Joker, but anything before that is still like a complete and total mystery. And I'm glad they handled it in a really nice and classy way in the show. And Gotham is still kind of a mixed bag for me, but it's still one of my favorite like superhero-esque shows that I'm watching. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. just started up, and you know I think S.H.I.E.L.D.'s okay.
S.H.I.E.L.D.'s good. I watched the first season, and then I just didn't care anymore. But I mean, it got me for one season. It got me.
It's starting to get a little more interesting because they're starting to introduce like superpowered characters a lot more. The Inhumans, which are basically just another word for mutants at the end of the day, are starting to show up in the series. Maybe they'll pop up in the MCU movies. I don't know. Maybe the MCU movies will start to maybe reference S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit more. Maybe so in the new Captain America Civil War.
Have you watched the new Death Battle?
I have not. Who is it?
You know who it is.
I don't know.
It's Mr. Hercule versus Dan.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, now, funny thing about that, before that video even came out, like, when they showed who Hercule was going to be fighting, like, I said, oh, he's going to be fighting Dan.
Yeah.
It has to be. Like, these two stupid
reject
fighters
characters.
who claim to be really powerful, but they're definitely not. That's perfect.
We're going to watch that.
I don't know who could win in that fight. We're going to have to watch that.
Mr. Hercule's actually strong. He's just not strong compared to a world-busting Goku.
I mean, we've seen him, crack some bricks and do some fairly crazy martial arts things, but Dan can also technically shoot like ki from his body. Like he can do a shitty Hadouken, but he can still do it. So that is something that Mr. Satan cannot do.
He can't. He doesn't control energy.
Then again, though, that energy attack that Dan uses is very easy to dodge because one, it has barely any distance, and you see it like telegraphed a mile away.
Yes. So maybe Mr. Satan gets hit with it like once and then like never again.
I'm so excited for Death Battle now. It's going to be really goofy. I don't know if they're going to be able to top Wolverine versus Raiden, but
that was like the best one I've seen in a long time. Definitely
the best choreography that I've seen from any of them thus far, and way more satisfying than that bullshit Goku versus Superman rematch. Which, I think they need to do it again.
Again?
Again. Let's get it the third time. I'm sick of Superman's bullshit.
Till they win.
It doesn't matter. No matter what we do, no matter what sort of power-up Goku's going to get, Superman will always win. He's got way too much backing him up. So, I've accepted that it's not going to happen, but I still want to at least see Superman get hurt a little bit. Like, not take a Kamehameha at point-blank range and just walk through it.
Yes.
That should have hurt him a little bit coming from a fucking god. But,
yes.
Whatever. Death Battle. They do their research, though, so I have to give them that. And the videos are still entertaining as all hell.
Oh, they do a good job. I mean, those videos... Let's be honest. Those videos would be boring as hell if it was just two dudes talking.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
It'd be shitty.
But like I always say, man, I get it. It is really hard to produce super high-quality content when it's just you shooting, you editing, you writing. That's hard. That's really hard.
They're luckily they got Screw Attack behind them.
They got some monies. So they're good.
They have way more resources, especially in using all those they use the video game models for all their fights and everything. So they have access to all of that stuff. And of course, they got a lot of good relationships with all those game companies and everything. And they don't always involve video game characters. Usually they involve I think one video game character and then something else from another genre, like Mr. Satan, anime character, Dan, video game character. So, God, I cannot wait to see how pathetically awesome that fight is going to be.
Yeah, I know.
Because, Death Battle fights are usually, really over the top and crazy. I imagine this one's going to end up being really goofy.
The only thing is, I know Mr. Satan, he cheats a lot. So maybe he does have the upper hand in that one sense. He, trips him and pushes him out of the ring or something. Or he's like, look, hot chick. And then, oh, Batman. And then pushes him, There's got to be something like that.
That would be awesome.
I'm just glad they finally used Guts when it was Guts versus Nightmare. That was one of also my favorites.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, you've never
seen it? If I have,
I think I just told you the ending. I think that's all I did.
Of Guts versus Nightmare?
Yeah.
Who wins again?
Guts, because he has a sword that's able to kill.
Well, damn right. He's a demon slayer. And
well, his sword is covered with demon blood. It's become kind of super powerful.
I mean, Nightmare's a really cool character. I can see why they chose both of them, though. I mean, they're both just these giant hulking beings with gigantic swords. But yeah, the Dragon Slayer's sword should have been making short work of him.
Yes.
God, I really got to check that one out now, too. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay, guys, podcast is over. Talk to you later. No, kidding.
No. But we are going to go ahead and just wrap things up. But we wanted to get you guys all hyped for all of the Halloween shenanigans we have planned for the next month. Just a few shout-outs that I do want to give to our channel, Super Kami Guru 9000. Fall anime season just started up, and we are reviewing a lot of brand new anime series. Just to name a few, we have Attack on Titan Junior High, which is a comedy version of Attack on Titan, which is set during junior high school with the characters. It's basically just, a big riff on the entire series. If you're a fan on Attack on Titan and you want to see these characters in a completely different setting with a lot of goofiness, check out the show. It might actually be pretty good. And the first episode was surprisingly funny, and I didn't expect that because I usually hate that type of stuff.
I'm not watching it.
No, you don't have to. You can take it or leave it. Yeah. There's also One Punch Man, which I think is without a doubt probably the biggest show of the fall. The first episode alone is worth checking out, even if you're not an anime fan. Just the action scenes are absolutely ridiculous. The story is really, really funny. And there's going to be a lot of new characters who are going to be introduced in the show. So there is actually, I think, going to be a pretty good story. It's based on a really popular manga series. There's a brand new Gundam anime, which just started. Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. It is definitely a step in the right direction, especially after the mess that was Gundam Reconquista NG, the most confusing anime series that I've ever watched. I still don't know what's going on in that show. I don't know who's good and I don't know who's bad. But in Iron-Blooded Orphans, it's much easier to follow. It has good animation. It's also going to have a really nice, intense story. And it's only going to be about 25 episodes long, so it's going to be much easier to digest. And since it doesn't have any continuity or connection to the old Gundam series like Universal Century storylines, it's new and fresh. So anybody can jump in and start watching it, which I think is really awesome. There's a few other shows that are going to be starting in the next week. The return of Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign, which I will be reviewing the second half of the season. Hopefully it'll be better than the first. And there's going to be a few other surprises. I'm also continuing to do my Star Wars series. Star Wars for 100 days. I'm releasing a Star Wars video every freaking day, 7 days a week, all leading up to the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens, and I need your help. I need you guys to look at these videos because they are in Strugglesville right now.
I wasn't going there, Corey.
I'm going to be honest. They're not doing that great, compared to a lot of our other videos. Obviously, we're not a Star Wars channel. I didn't expect these videos to go crazy, but I would really appreciate it if you guys would just at least watch them, maybe leave a few comments, and give me some ideas about what you guys would like to see from these videos. videos. Currently, right now, I'm vlogging and reviewing every episode of Star Wars Clone Wars, which is the 2003 animated series, which was done by Cartoon Network and famed animator Genndy Tartakovsky, who has created a lot of famous shows like Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack, as well as working on big movies like Hotel Transylvania. So make sure to check out all those episodes. They're really freaking awesome. I'm choking on my own spit.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this week's podcast. We always appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, this wouldn't exist. So, we're awesome, but you guys make us awesome. So thank you so much. Corey, do you have the last read right there for a Rogue?
I'm trying to bring it up.
Okay, I'm going to stall. So anyway, guys, other things. Corey is really working hard on that super commie Star Wars something.
It's called Star Wars for 100 days.
Corey is working hard. We're just a channel with 20,000 subs that only gets 300 views. It's not disheartening, but it's like, just watch one. You make this happy bald man that much happier.
Man,
I'm trying to sell it.
You are not helping the cause for Star Wars for 100 days.
But it's good stuff. You're say.
Lucky I have come to terms with the fact that I am a bald man.
Yeah, you might just cause one extra hair to sprout up if you guys just relieve that stress of Star Wars not sucking anymore for Corey. Right?
Anywho, we want to thank you guys for watching the podcast today. I know we didn't really have anything special planned, but we will for the next couple of weeks, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Lots of Halloween stuff. Before we wrap up the show, though, I just want to take a moment and thank our network, Rogue Intel. They are the guys that make this podcast possible, as well as a lot of other shows, so make sure to check them out. And you guys can actually support them in a number of different ways. One, you can just simply watch our show and check out the other podcasts they have. But you can also go to rogueintel.com/Amazon for all of your shopping needs. What that's going to do is it's going to help support our show as well as their website. And the best part about it is you guys are going to still save a lot of money and you're not going to spend anything extra. By shopping at Amazon, you're definitely going to get the best deal on everything you need, and you're going to be putting it all towards a very good cause. So make sure to check that out. Remember, that is rogueintel.com/Amazon. So thank you guys for watching today. We will see you next time. Peace.
What's up, guys? It's Shane from Now That I'm Older. Check out Pure Orgasmic Love on the Rogue Intel Podcast Network. Sex, 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 one of the most amazingly diverse topics on the planet. And each week, Dragonfly and Swamp Ape will discuss and educate on topics involving love, relationships, and you guessed it, one of their favorites, sex. Pure Orgasmic Love. Find them on rogueintel.com.